But I want to show you verse 23, where Jethro says to Moses, if you follow this advice and if God commands you to do so, then you will be able to endure the pressures and all these people will go home in peace. There's two things here. One, if you follow the advice, and two, if God commands you to do so, or if God so directs. When someone says, God's called me to do this, doesn't that feel a bit subjective? I can't argue with that. Someone says to me, hey, God's called me to set up a table for muffins out in the lobby every Sunday. Well, I mean, if God's called you, what can I say, right? I mean, that's sort of a trump card. It's not always fair to use, and I would say we should be really careful to use that trump card. But when God directs you, I think you need a few things to help make calling a little more objective than as subjective as it feels sometimes. But I want you to see that when you identify calling, there's internal desire, and that's where a lot of us just stop. I just want to do it, so I think God's calling me to do it. Okay, how about we just go through this list together? External affirmation. Has anyone told you this was a good idea? I want to serve on the worship team, or I'd like to serve on the teaching team, or I'd like to serve on the connections team, or whatever. Has anyone told you you are a good singer? Has anyone invited you to their birthday party to sing for them? How long have you been playing that instrument? Okay. All right, I see the desire. That's a great card you've played there. Let's play this one. How about any affirmation at all, like Jethro gives to Moses? Then there's moral and character qualifications, like, great, so you want to do this? And others have said they seem like they can see you doing this. Are there any character issues that you should sort out and work through that maybe we could do together as a church? Great, next step, skill or ability. I want to do this so bad. Do you have the skill or ability, have or get? Do I have it? Can I get it? Need or opportunity. I really want to do this. Is there any real need for this, or is there an open door of opportunity to step into? Sometimes that really helps to identify God's calling us. I feel called. We've had this desire. My friends have said we should all start a church. Boom, an opportunity opens up, and it's like, you know what? This may be God calling us. This is sort of a way to help us make it a bit objective. There's opportunity or need that presents itself, and it becomes more clear. Then I think there's seasons of life. It's not just that God isn't calling you. It just may be that you need to wait, just not the right time. And that's another way of indicating sort of God's calling. And then the last would be joy. And I say joy for lack of a better way to put it. Sometimes when God's called you to do something, you feel stuck and you no longer have joy to do it. And that's probably an indication that he's not called you anymore. You should move on. And so I think that's a healthy thing to acknowledge. Some of us feel like the gifts and calling of God are irrevocable. If God called me to do this, I'm stuck. I got to do this the rest of my life. And that's not true. But you do need some affirmation to walk through that to see if maybe you just lost joy and need a transition. That's within the church, outside the church. But I think this is how we go about sort of following the advice. And this phrase here, if God commands you to do so, or if God so directs you. We can get to the bottom of this calling, and we can do this together. And the last thing I love is that these people, in this verse 23, these people will go home in peace. Shalom. You can experience peace. I can experience peace. We can do this together by following God's call on our lives together. Let's pray.